Welcome to the K.A.M.A podcast. Come
All right. Welcome back to another episode of K.A.M.A podcast. This one, what is it called? What is this episode called? Let me scroll up real quick. It's everywhere. Yes, dengue. Once again, it is everywhere. Just like last episode, we were talking about how dengue affects the body, and you probably got some stuff from that. And in our first episode, we talked just about our experiences with dengue. This episode, we're going to be talking about how to prevent it and the treatments and all that mumbo jumbo. So listen in closely. Before we get started, though, I would like to introduce our new guest for today, Miss Rebecca Sinclair.
Hello. So, as Nam said, my name is Rebecca Sinclair, and I'm a science teacher. I've also previously done research in a biomedical engineering lab, and I've received my degree in biological engineering. So I'm excited to be here on this podcast.
Yes, and we're extremely excited to have you on here as well, because today we're going to be talking about treatments and all of the ways that we can prevent dengue. So it's really good to have someone from the biological medical field. Ms. Becca, can you tell us a little bit about, do you have any experiences with dengue before? Because, we know you stayed in Vietnam before, and Vietnam is just a hot mess of dengue once you go into the rainy seasons.
Just a hot mess of dengue, huh? Luckily, I have not had dengue myself. I did hear about it before I came to Vietnam when I was finding about all the possible diseases that I could get there, because I wanted to make sure that I had either vaccines or medication for the diseases that I could get those for. But I know that when I was doing that research, I found out that there was no vaccine for dengue for me. So I just had to kind of take the risk and use other approaches to not get the disease, which we're going to talk about later. But I have heard about a lot of other people who have gotten dengue, like maybe friends who said they had it when they were younger, or I think even students at APU last year had to miss some school because they got dengue. So I know that it is prominent in the community.
Yeah, I mean, especially because in Da Nang, it's only sunny seasons and rainy seasons most of the time, and dengue tends to appear more around rainy seasons. So I think for people in Da Nang, that would be more of an issue. Even in Hanoi, where I'm at right now, it's already a big issue. But wait, Rabbit, is dengue a big issue in Da Nang right now?
Well, to what I see, not, because this year we haven't got a lot of rains and storms like the other years. And now when it's December, I still haven't seen a lot of rain compared to last year. Because last year during Halloween, it was just non-stop storming, and we had to skip school for a few weeks because of it, remember?
Oh,
But
yeah.
this year, not yet. And so not a lot of standing waters, and so not a lot of mosquito, not a lot of dengue.
And what about in Saigon, Kevin? How's dengue there nowadays?
Dengue becomes so common in Saigon that people just live with it.
People just live with it.
Yeah, average one day I kill 5 mosquitoes, so it's probably fine.
Average one man kills 100 mosquitoes. Hell yeah, dude. And in Ha Long, Sam?
Well, I think in my perspective, there has not been any cases in for dengue fever, so I don't think it's a problem in Hanoi right now.
Oh, okay. So it's just me in Hanoi then. Damn, that's unfortunate. Ms. Becca, you were talking about earlier. You said there was no vaccine for dengue for you, right?
Yeah, so I guess I should clarify. So, and this was back when I'd first gone to Vietnam.
Yeah.
So I think things might have changed, but not completely. because if you want to start talking about like possible preventions, obviously it's a virus, so the viruses are mainly prevented by vaccines, and there have been attempts to create vaccines for dengue, but so far there's only one vaccine that's approved for use, but it's only recommended for people who have already had the virus, because the thing about dengue, it's kind of an interesting disease. There's 4 different viruses, or 4 different serotypes of the dengue virus, which is kind of like 4 different strains, but they're like more different than strains. Kind of like, right now with COVID, we have Delta variant and Omicron. Well, like with dengue, they have different serotypes, which are like even more different from each other than like, say, Delta and the other COVID strains. So because of that, it's hard to make a vaccine that will protect you against all of them. There's like all 4 different ones. So they haven't been successful in creating a vaccine that will protect people from all the different serotypes of dengue fever. But they found that some people who have been infected by certain types of dengue are actually more vulnerable to have a severe infection from if they get reinfected by a different type. So those people are targets for the vaccine because they might succumb to a much more serious infection in the future. So it's worthwhile to treat them. But people who have never had dengue in the past, I guess this vaccine doesn't really help or protect them very much. So it's not a perfect vaccine for sure.
Yeah, because I'm looking at some research done by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention right now, the CDC, and it's saying like the dengue vaccine should only be given to those who has gotten the disease before, and for some reason it says to be eligible to get this Dengue Vaccine, which is the name of the vaccine, you must be between the ages of 9 to 16. I wonder why that's the case, because it doesn't say it in here for some reason. I mean, what do you guys think? Why can't people say older than 16 not get Dengue Vaccine? Is there a reason for that?
According to my research, I think they recommended Dengue Vaccine for people who are from 9 to 45 years old.
45?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, from 9 to 45, but more they really want to aim like younger kids because they're always more vulnerable to this disease, this virus, and with the fatal cases of the dengue, it's mostly the children who die.
Yeah, that is true. Oh, okay, so 45 then. That's interesting. You just say to 16s, so that's a bit weird. But so you also mentioned, you have some certain ways to help prevent dengue, Miss Becca. Well, you researched into some certain ways you have to prevent dengue when you first came to Vietnam. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, I guess since it is a mosquito-borne virus or spread by mosquitoes, the best way to prevent it is to not get bitten by the mosquitoes. So that could involve like using mosquito nets when you sleep, which I think a lot of people in Vietnam do already. Like they have a mosquito net around their bed to make sure the mosquitoes don't get in while they're sleeping, which I think is really important. And it's like a simple and somewhat cost-effective way of preventing dengue, but not just dengue, any virus or disease that's spread by mosquitoes like malaria or Japanese encephalitis. So that's really important. Also, like I think Rabbit was talking about water sitting in places, I think earlier when she was talking about like the weather. So I know we can't really change the weather around us, but we can try to remove places with sitting water around our house. Like if we have a bucket or something that's catching rainwater, then maybe that's not a good idea because they can be a place for the mosquitoes to reproduce. So make our environment a not mosquito friendly environment. And if we are like outside, so dengue mosquitoes, or the mosquitoes that carry dengue, are called Aedes mosquitoes, and they typically are active in the like early morning and evening. So that's the time when we need to be most cautious. So if we're in a place where we might get bitten by mosquitoes, we should wear clothing that covers us, like long pants that is a bit loose fitting, or long sleeves, and possibly even like use bug spray with DEET in it to repel the mosquitoes. I know that's not a huge thing in Vietnam. I haven't seen a lot of people using bug spray, so maybe people prefer the like covering themselves more so than using bug spray. But either way, whatever method you want to use to avoid getting bitten by mosquitoes, it's important to use some kind of method.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it is. We actually discussed about just the Aedes species in general during our first episode, but yeah, like you said, the easiest way to avoid dengue is just to not get bit. And I mean, we know how to identify the Aedes mosquitoes already. We know that they have white stripes that will help us avoid getting bit. But
so you let the other mosquitoes bite you if they don't have white stripes? You look at it, you're like, no white stripes? All right, you go ahead.
I mean, gotta share some blood sometimes. I mean, but yeah, no, just don't let yourself get bit. Wear long sleeves clothes. Small stuff like that goes a long way in preventing the disease in general. Rabbit, Sam, Kevin, you guys have anything to add on?
That's mostly. That's what generally, like, we all know that we have to clean our surrounding environment, wear long sleeves, just don't get bit. But Miss Becca, like last year, I remember you talk about in our biology class. I remember you talk about Wolbachia bacteria being used in lab to infect mosquitoes and put them back out into the environment, so it can reduce the population of Aedes mosquito. You remember that thing?
Yeah, well, was it Aedes mosquitoes specifically that I was talking about then? I know we talked about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because I know there were some different like biological methods of controlling pests that we talked about, so I'm trying to remember that one specifically. But I did recently read about like that there's a certain type of bacterium that will infect this Aedes mosquito, and I think it makes them it doesn't necessarily kill the mosquito, but it makes it not able to carry the virus or something like that. So that's one strategy that they're currently researching to try to combat dengue in certain areas.
Yeah, with the Wolbachia, it's very interesting because number one, if Wolbachia can prevent the eggs from hatching, and if the mosquito has Wolbachia, the virus, the bacterium Wolbachia itself will compete with other viruses like dengue, Zika, chikungunya, and all of those bacteria and virus that the mosquito also brings with it. And so, if it's infected, it'll lower the chance that the viruses will be spread to humans.
If I remember correctly, we were talking about how Wolbachia doesn't allow for the mosquitoes to reproduce or something, right? Rabbit?
Yep. Yeah, it definitely kind of will slow down the growth of the population.
Damn.
Okay,
Really?
that's interesting. So it works both ways. It prevents a viral load in the living mosquitoes, but it also prevents them from reproducing.
Damn, we're really going the extinction route. Okay.
I think that's something that's been really interesting over the last decade, is that the developments in disease prevention using like more kind of genetic or biological methods, like what you were just talking about, Rabbit, and there's been other genetic engineering approaches to controlling, like, say, malaria as well. So that's something we'll have to look out for in the future.
Yeah, and well, so
Yeah.
yeah, Sam, you wanna say something?
I mean, like, thinking back to what have we learned about last year in like environmental science, like we are quite afraid of species extinction, which it's kind of the thing that we are doing now. Like, we're trying to extinct a species which is in this mosquito. So is this one of the problems that we need to be concerned about? Because we are trying to extinct another animal, you know?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So, like, if we drive a species of mosquito to extinction, will that have more trickle down effects, and like maybe it will have some negative consequences that are unintended? That's definitely something we need to be careful about. Like, as I think it's important that there's other mosquitoes that can fill the niche for the mosquito that we're targeting with these approaches. Like, because obviously mosquitoes do have an important ecological role, as do any species. So I think if there are other species of mosquitoes that are not harmful to humans that are in the area, that could sort of serve as replacing the mosquitoes that we are causing to be extinct, and, like, say, being a source of food for the amphibians or animals that eat the mosquitoes, for example, then maybe that can decrease the negative consequences. But also, I think some of these approaches don't necessarily result in extinction, but they just reduce the population, because, like, there's still going to be mosquitoes that aren't infected by the bacteria, so it'll be a lower population. But I'm not sure, you never really know what kind of effects these large interventions can have.
Well, Wolbachia itself, it's a pretty common bacteria in nature, and around like 30 to 50% of the insect species actually has this bacteria infected with them. So I don't think that it'll drive to extinction that fast, because naturally it's already quite common. And Wolbachia spreading from one species to another is not very common as well. It's more within the species. So definitely will decrease, but it won't definitely lead to extinction.
Yeah, but like when we think about the Wolbachia, like this bacteria is infected through reproductive activities, which when a mosquito carries a Wolbachia bacteria, and then it kind of have reproduction activity with another mosquito, the bacteria is transmitted into the eggs, not really directly into the female mosquito, So I think, like, if we are trying to put like Wolbachia into the male mosquito, which is 100%, so I think it's kind of sounds like we are driving it into extinction.
Well, but how could we put the bacteria into 100% of the male mosquitoes?
Well, like we're just releasing billions of male mosquito which is infected by Wolbachia bacteria. So it sounds quite much in the environmental system.
Well, how many species of mosquitoes are there in Vietnam? Maybe if there's enough different species, then one, like a decrease or an extinction of one won't. Well, there's 3,000 species of mosquitoes in the world. So, yeah, maybe extinction of this one species isn't going to have like that negative of an impact, because there's enough other species of mosquitoes that can kind of fill in for them. I mean, it's like the lesser of two evils, maybe. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, because like beside from dengue, the Aedes mosquitoes also transmit a lot of other viruses like Zika, yellow fever, and a lot of dangerous viruses. So maybe it's not too bad of a problem.
yeah, and then some of the other ways that humans have controlled mosquito populations in the past can be even more harmful, because like I know that in some places they've sprayed DEET all over like forested areas or around cities, which is a insecticide, right? Like it's like a chemical that will kill insects, but it's also not really that great for humans to ingest. So if that kind of goes into the food chain and bioaccumulates and we end up consuming it in our food or water, then that could have harmful effects on us, but it could also like be toxic to other species that are living in the area. So I think like it sounds like this bacterial method of managing the population is at least better than some other methods.
Yeah.
Yeah, like some other methods, like spraying DDT into the niche of the mosquito, which sounds quite dangerous for human health also. Yeah, like what did we have learned during last year environmental last year, that it would impact to many ecological ecosystem, as well as human consumption and stuff like that.
Yeah, and actually DDT was banned in America and I think maybe Canada as well in the 1970s, I believe. I'm not 100% sure about that, but like even though it was banned here, like where I am because I'm in Canada, there were still many countries in the world that were using it, especially for mosquito control. So like the fact that they banned it shows that there must be a lot of harmful effects from it. So we shouldn't use it, or we should try to avoid using it if possible.
Yep, and for the record, Wolbachia is claimed to be harmless towards human and the environment. Okay, yeah, totally, it's not like DDT at all. So
yeah, so it sounds like it's promising. So
yep.
are you, I guess I'm guessing that we've talked about prevention. Did you talk about the course of the disease already? Like once you get the disease, what you can do?
No, we talked about what happens to you once you get the disease, but I was actually planning to bring up the topic of what to do if you get the disease, like right now. It's good that you brought that up right now, actually, because I was gonna lead into that. But yeah, so we have a lot of just from simple to really complex methods of preventing dengue. We got just wearing long sleeve shirts to Wolbachia, and it's a pretty big range. But when it comes down to once you get it, what are the stuff you can do to decrease the pain and the effects that the disease have on you?
Okay, this is what I learned from school. So normally you get the fever first. So if you get the fever, normally people will give you paracetamol or ibuprofen, right? So that's normal and that's acceptable. But once you know, you should go to doctor and test what exactly causes fever. If you know that it's dengue that's causing you the fever, then definitely stop using ibuprofen. No ibuprofen, no aspirin. So we'll recommend it to be using paracetamol and pain relief.
Hold up.
Yeah.
What was the name of that one medicine? What, Eferagan?
Yep, Eferagan.
Paracetamol.
Oh, is that the same thing? Oh, that's the same thing.
Yeah. Eferagan has paracetamol inside it. Paradol also.
Yeah.
Why is it not recommended that you use ibuprofen?
Because if you have dengue fever, the amount of platelets inside your blood is very low, actually, and ibuprofen can further decrease the amount of platelets counts, which is not ideal for dengue fever because your veins can be very leaky and can lead to internally bleeding. So, no clots, you might gonna have a shock and die. This is also why we've been talking about this for 3 episodes.
We're actually talking about that the other day about Yeah.
So,
I mean, other than paracetamol and the other medicine, are there any other ways to decrease the effects the disease have on you once you get it? I think drinking a lot of water.
Yeah, like from what I've read, there aren't really any antiviral drugs. So there's no drug that's going to help you recover from the disease faster. You need to just let it take its course in your body. But it's important to manage your fluid levels because, as Rabbit mentioned, it's like can make your membranes leaky, and so like it causes the fluid in your blood to kind of leak out, and it can result in not enough blood going to your internal organs. So you need to make sure that you're getting enough fluids, whether it's by drinking. So if that's enough, then you can just make sure that you consume fluids orally. But if that's not enough, then you might need to get intravenous injections of fluid to manage the fluid levels.
okay, so you just gotta give the work to your immune system, huh? Yay. So, to me, this is also why dengue can be so dangerous, because there's not much you can do.
Yeah, it's kind of like leaving it up to fate to see how your body is going to react to it. And like most people are fine, or they just get sick and they recover, right? So like the chances are that you're going to be okay. You might just have a really bad week where you don't feel well, but there are like those rare cases that turn into something very serious. So that's what we want to try to avoid. But maybe that's like, this isn't specifically related to dengue, but just like anything that you can do to keep your immune system stronger would probably help to decrease the negative effects of getting dengue. Like maybe if you have a strong immune system, you'll be less likely to get a really serious version of the dengue fever. So like that, typical ways of keeping your immune system strong include eating a healthy diet and exercising and getting enough sleep and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess in the end, it's just up to praying, water, paracetamol, and healthy habits. Because
Right, you mentioned
I also need to. Yeah.
what, Kevin?
you just said praying.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
and I also want to add some more because like some people might overtake the dosage of paracetamol. So according to WHO, the recommended dosage of paracetamol are below 800 milligrams. So do not take over 800 milligrams, or else your kidney might not be able to handle the dosage you consume. So yeah.
I mean, yeah, any kind of overdosage for any medicine really will lead to even more problems. Gotta watch out for how much you take in.
Yeah, I remember like one of the teacher was joking of this in the class. So he was saying like if your temperature is too high, your brain can't handle it, so you gotta take medicine. But if you drink too much medicine, like around 10 tablets of paracetamol, it's bye bye. You're gonna die.
Damn, Ted. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because like even though I think aspirin or Tylenol, I forget, I get them mixed up sometimes, but I think it's aspirin that you don't need to take that much to like put your life in danger. Like if you just take 10 of them, it can cause kidney failure or like your liver to shut down. So yeah, you gotta be careful with even medicine that you can buy over the counter, which means you don't need a prescription for it. You still need to be careful with how much you take because it can actually be pretty dangerous, even though it's something everyone has in their house.
Yeah.
And also be aware on what you take, because sometimes a certain medicine kind of work at the same as another, but sometimes that medicine can cause something bad when you are having dengue fever. For example, if you take aspirin or ibuprofen, it's gonna be worse for the dengue fever because it can cause you to have more internal bleeding instead, because dengue fever is technically hemorrhagic fever. So yeah, beware in what you take.
And we talk about treatment and all that, like what Sam just said before. These kind of aspirin and ibuprofen, they also act as thinning the blood, and like Rabbit and Sam said, that does make the issue even more bad. But treatment aside, because when it comes, as I said before, when it comes down to the treatment for what you should do when you get dengue, it's not really much other than just depend on your immune system, support it as much as possible by taking in fluids and painkillers or paracetamol. But one of the better ways that the best treatment for it is just to avoid it. So we like at the beginning we talked about some simple ways and some complex ways to prevent dengue, but the way that our group here is doing it now is by spreading awareness of it, just making sure that people know what's up and what they should be knowing about this disease and how to avoid it and all that. And there's even actually a whole month dedicated to dengue awareness. It's in June and it's called Dengue Awareness Month. We were doing a bit of research on that, and there was just this website. This is from a Punjabi nation, and there was just this website for Dengue Awareness Month where they just had like 24 pictures of this guy doing activities that help you prevent dengue, like cleaning and throwing out water and all of that. So that was pretty great. But our way of doing it now is using this podcast to make sure that people know, hey man, you gotta watch out for this disease, especially in a place like Vietnam, because it's much more common here. And I mean, Miss Becca, do you think there are any ways that we can make sure people are aware of this and transfer the information to the community, spread the words?
Well, I guess like your ideas sound like one step that you can take, having podcasts or like videos, or I mean, Vietnam has done a pretty good job with public awareness campaigns in the past, like even with COVID, initially there was that song that became really popular about washing your hands. Corona, so like maybe doing something like that for dengue, or like making sure that in schools the school children are educated about it, and maybe like on TV having commercials, or in the news reporting. Like a lot of people watch the news, right? So if the broadcasters talk about, like especially during the dengue season when the mosquitoes are most common, making sure that they talk about what people should be doing. So yeah, but this is a good start with your podcast.
Yeah, and for something like this to work, like we need to invite people who are professionals in the scientific field that relates to this disease, and that's why we need our guests, because in the end we're just a bunch of students trying to spread awareness of this disease. Like no matter how much research we do, we still haven't actually got any real life actions or experience in researching, and that's why we need the support of adults like you, professionals like you, on this little show here to help us spread the word. So thank you once again for joining us.
Thanks a lot. It was my pleasure, really, and I don't sell yourself short. Even though you're just students, as you say, like you can still have a lot of effects in your community by spreading the word and educating people around you.
Oh, thank you. Damn, I'm crying now. No, I was just kidding. But yeah, it's just really nice to have you on here. Because in the other episodes, even Sam here doesn't speak much, but this episode I saw him speaking a lot. So good job, Sam. Good job, Sam.
That's good.
Anyways, I think this is actually it for our podcast. So thank you so much once again for joining us. Oh wait, before we end though, I need to give the audience a kind of review question. Let me just explain that to you, Ms. Becca. At the end of every episode, I'll say a question and then I'll give them some choices so that everyone can pick the choices and all that simple stuff, really. But review question for episode 3 of the day. Is there any specific medicine for dengue? You got 3 choices. Number 1, yes. Number 2, no. Number 3, maybe. That's it, guys. Remember to type your answers in the comments or not. I don't know. Anyways, once again, thank you so much for joining us today, Miss Becca. Thank you all for watching. And you want to say anything else, Miss Becca? Any parting words?
No, just remember, if you see that white striped mosquito, just swat that dead.
Yes, commit genocide. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you in the next season where we'll be probably discussing about another disease, because this is our last episode on dengue.
Okay.
Doesn't happen.
I sing for you. Always wonder why my body feels so sore. Could it be that striped mosquito did something? What should I do to keep myself from getting infected by the dengue fever? Use Eparagan and drink lots of water. Go and have an appointment with a doctor now. Watch out for the white striped mosquitoes, because they are what cause you to have dengue fever. Yes, it spreads and it's dangerous, but we can fight by spreading awareness of it. It will not harm us any more than it already has. Spread the words, my friend. Together we will end the dengue